Good morning from New Zealand. I thought it would be fun to read to you the introduction from the book Seven at Sea. So I'm going to set my little mug of warmness here. Seven at Sea. This is a book that Emily and I wrote, and I just wanted to read to you the first introduction, maybe a chapter, because who doesn't like being read a story? So I'm going to skip over the stunning accolades and praise that we receive from people we admire and respect, past the title page, Why a New York City Family Cast Off Convention for a Life-Changing Year on a Sailboat by Erik and Emily Orton. It is for our crew, Karina, Allison, Sarah Jane, Eli, and Lily. You will always be our greatest adventure. So, quick little sip. On we go. Introduction. Oyster Pond, St. Martin, Caribbean. 20 days aboard Fezziwig. Erik. I pointed Fezziwig out of the channel for the third time in 3 weeks. Okay, kids, hang on, I called across the deck. Before we arrived at Oyster Pond in St. Martin, I had no idea we were picking up our boat from one of the most treacherous coves in the whole Caribbean. A narrow channel weaving through jagged cliffs, submerged reefs, meandering buoys, and direct exposure to waves rolling in across the Atlantic Ocean. Now I knew what was coming, and I was scared spitless. Emily turned on the music, and all 5 of our kids started singing Rocks in the Box by the Decemberists. We'd been singing this haunting, jaunty song for years as our family had learned to sail. Karina, our oldest at 16, dusty blonde and round-faced, stood across the cockpit, her eyes riveted on the channel. Allison, 14, with cropped copper hair, looked up the mast to check the wind indicator. Sarah Jane, or SJ, or Jane, but never Sarah, 12, and already turning platinum blonde, swung from the canvas bars covering the cockpit. Eli, 8 and gangly, was our boy. Lily, 6, with her almond eyes and apple cheeks, was the end of the line. Eli and Lily couldn't swim. That's why they were tethered to with harnesses to jacklines running the length of the boat. Emily steadied herself in the doorframe between the galley and the cockpit. Her smile was confident, and her blue eyes were full of questions. I did my best to smile back. We sang loudly as the boat pitched and the bow pounded into the oncoming waves. Singing kept our minds busy and nausea at bay. We got through the pin buoys and out into open water. I turned the boat toward the island of Tintamar, which put us sideways to the waves. That's when my queasiness returned, but I was determined. Even with only one working engine, we weren't spending another night in that hot, stuffy anchorage waiting for a mechanic who might never show up. Putting up the sails would have moved my nausea to the next step, and it was a short trip, so we motored the few miles to Tintamar. A bunch of boats were already tied to mooring balls along the main beach. There was one ball free, so we went for it. Karina and Allison were at the bow with the boat hook ready to snag the line. Getting the mooring ball on the first try had become a source of pride for me. We'd practiced it constantly since our earliest family sails. Karina and Allison were our best snaggers, but despite my nearly impeccable driving, they missed it. I wasn't a very good captain yet. I wasn't a good enough captain yet to stay calm. Let's try that for a third time. I wasn't a good enough captain yet to stay calm. I had something to prove. With the wind pushing the boat sideways and only one engine, I wasn't about to go around for another pass. I shouted up front, "I can't believe you guys! Allison, take the helm." Emily conveyed the second half of the message, and Allison took the wheel. Jane kept Eli and Lily out of the way. She knew the, quote, mad dad look when she saw it. I jumped down to the stern and grabbed the mooring ball with my bare hands. "Bring me a docking line," I ordered. A docking line was fire brigaded to me. "And another one," I demanded. Another one appeared in my hand. I did a Herculean move, pulling the lines together and tying them to the stern. I didn't even deign to shoot my kids a nasty look. We were now, quote, anchored, but backward. Boats at anchor are supposed to point forward into the wind, not backward. We spent the next 30 minutes putting on a circus for the boaters moored near us. I imagined the other boaters' mocking thoughts as they sat quietly poised in their cockpits, their bows bobbing up and down, annoyingly pointed into the wind. Meanwhile, I was running around untying lines, retying lines, trying to give Emily and the kids the silent treatment, but also needing their help, as we painstakingly pivoted our boat to point into the wind, the correct direction, the direction we would have been if they had gotten the line the first time, if both engines had worked, if we hadn't felt nauseous, if. The sun went down, but the wind picked up. It was going to be a long, rolly night. The nausea was not going away. Everyone lay still, looking pale and trying not to puke. Despite her own nausea, Emily rallied to heat broth for dinner. We all took a few sips. I looked around the 10 by 16-foot cabin at Emily and our 5 kids, ages 6 to 16. Eli and Lily laid splayed on the floor in a pile. The older girls flopped face first on the table. Not one of them was happy. Whose dumb idea was this? I asked. Their heads lifted and looked at me. I wasn't asking about this anchorage or this little overnight stay. I was talking about the whole trip, quitting my job, packing up our stuff, leaving our apartment and friends in New York City, flying to the Caribbean, moving aboard a fixer-upper boat we'd never seen before, and imagining we could sail all over the planet for the next year. All the fingers pointed at me. "It was your idea, Dad," they burst out laughing. I couldn't help but crack a smile too. Emily clarified, "Hey, that's not entirely true." And that is the introduction. Maybe to be continued. We'll see.